This first question's for Josh Miller. Josh, you rostered some controversial players this year, including wide receiver Antonio Brown. And at one point, Brown called you a cracker and kidnapped several of Philip Rivers' children. However, how does your leadership reflect that your team was successful in the midst of all this controversy? You were the 4th seed overall and are currently going up against winning is my forte in the playoffs.
Well, first of all, Bailey, I'd like to thank you for your question. Most people fail to acknowledge the one half of my race that's still very valuable to me. Now, the Antonio Brown situation was very unfortunate. He made us some promises, and ultimately he let us down. But things happen like this in life. Now, as we usually do, we did not back down. We're a very resilient group of individuals. We always rally, and this season was the ultimate testament of this. Our team is very well rounded. We have some of the top players at each position. George Kittle, for one, is an excellent tight end. He puts up double-digit numbers very, very frequently. Austin Eckler, despite not even being a starter on his own team, has managed to be a top 10 running back thus far. And so, with thanks to the contributions of these players and many more, we've managed to put together a very successful season. And I look forward to seeing what this group can do in the playoffs.
Hello, it's junior analyst Mike Hopp. Josh, you are currently our only diverse league member. Do you feel extra pressure representing the entire country of Chinese Taipei? And also, you're taking about 300 credits. Do you worry that your extreme workload in the classroom will affect your ability to manage a team fully?
Thank you, Mike, for your question, even though your comments were quite insulting and factually untrue. You also mentioned a term that I'm not really familiar with. You said Chinese Taipei. I don't know what the meaning of that is, so I can't really respond to that question. But as for my workload, my approach is quite simple. First of all, my priorities are clear. First, it's fantasy. The studies come second. Obviously, the job prospects for chemical engineering aren't very bright, so there's no need to worry about any of that garbage. But I've managed to make it work. I pull an all-nighter here and there, but I think my preparation has paid off because I am the 4th seed in the playoffs, and I'll look to continue with this plan.
Josh, at the time of this press conference, you are currently trailing winning is my forte 20-0, and frankly, I'm an optimist, but hope is all lost for you. How do you deal with such a crushing blow to start the 2019 playoff season, and how do you keep your team's morale up heading into Sunday?
Thank you for your question, Justin. I'd like to first say that I have tremendous amount of respect for GM Holden Burkett and the team that he has assembled. He has a star-studded roster, and Ezekiel Elliott is one of the best competitors that you'll ever see. Now, as I said before, I have lots of confidence in my team. We are a very resilient group, and actually, Justin should know this better than anyone. Two years ago, when this franchise was down by 19 points, Larry Fitzgerald stared in the face of defeat and said that this team was not going to lose. He scored 20 points, delivering a 1-point win on Monday Night Football for us. And although I cannot predict the same miraculous ending to this week's matchup, I believe that we can pull out a win and move on to the semifinals.
Hello again, I'm junior analyst Mike Hopp, this time with Josh Miller. We're once again going to run the hurry up. Josh, you're just going to have to answer, would you rather win a LOOG championship and then the questions I give you. Do you care more about a LOOG championship or your family?
What family? LOOG championship.
Do you care more about a League championship or the Eagles winning a Super Bowl?
The Eagles are falling off an abyss, so I don't really care about them anymore. LOOG championship.
That's a spirit. What about Penn State winning the playoff this year?
LOOG championship.
Another League championship pick. Josh, what about your left or right testicle?
Tough one. LOOG championship.
What about both testicles?
I mean, I am. People do call me BDJ, but LOOG championship.
League championship again. Josh, what about your future children?
What are children?
What are children? What about winning the lottery?
I've already won the lottery, I think about 3 times using my advanced stat, so I don't need to win it again. LOOG championship.
Josh, what about being successful in your future?
Fantasy is a key to success. If I don't ultimately win in fantasy, I don't know what I'm doing with my life.
There you have it, folks. Another GM that picks no nuts but a championship. We like that mentality.
Joey, turn it off. This first question's for GM Mike Hawk. Mike, your team underperformed immensely this year. Originally, the TD Ameritrade projections had you finishing 3rd overall, and you've suffered the biggest drop all the way to 9th place, projecting you only to finish above Joey Clark, which is not much of an accomplishment. What do you have to say about your season, and what do you think went wrong for you?
Bailey, I'll answer your questions, not your insults.
Mike, let me reiterate. Your team finished 4-9 this year, and even though the advanced stats were on your side, you weren't able to pull out enough victories to end up in the championship series. Do you have any thoughts as to what may have gone wrong, or as to any moves that you wished you would have made that you did not ultimately end up making?
Bailey, thank you for a much more respectful question this time. While obviously we have some hecklers in the room, we are not as happy with our performance this season as the last few years. Unfortunately, we did not have a chance to compete for a championship, but we do believe that next year we will be in a position to do so. And this year, had some draft bust. Joe Mixon obviously didn't perform, but we did have some guys step up. Chris Godwin was obviously exceptional. And, well, we do believe that we will not be bringing the Sacco home to the Hop household.
It's like an anteater.
I have a 2-part question for you, Mike. First, this past Wednesday, you signed Young Ho Koo, who could quite possibly be the first Asian American ever rostered on a fantasy football roster in the League of Ordinary Gentlemen history. Did diversity play any role in this signing, or was it purely from a production standpoint? Second, how has your experience with the Jets helped you to endure the miseries that you have endured this season in fantasy football?
Thank you, Josh. I have a 2-part answer for you. While Young Hoku's race did not come into effect at all, it was primarily his production. I signed Young Hoku solely because I thought his production this week would be higher than any other free agent kicker. I had Brett Mayer for the last few weeks, tried to stick with him, but really he's been struggling, missed a field goal in this game actually, so we are very happy with that free agent signing. And that is a great point about the Jets. I haven't had to endure a lot of misery over the last few years with just countless losing seasons, so that did brace the impact of this losing season a little bit, even if I had more of a role in this one than I do in the Jets season.
Oh, Mike. It's been a long road and not a fun one for anybody involved. We've left you off the hook too many times, Mike. You defiled Josh via trade. We let you off the hook. You have a bad season. We let you off the hook. But now you've reached a new low. And that's contending with Joey Clark for the Sacco Trophy. And frankly, I don't know how much deeper of a hole you could dig at this point. So my question to you is, how soon do I have to wait for you to submit your resignation from the League of Ordinary Gentlemen and let Elizabeth Checkeye take your spot, as she has long sought for?
Justin, thank you for the question. I enjoyed defiling Josh via trade rape almost as much as I enjoyed defiling you last night. But secondly, I will never be resigning from the League of Ordinary Gentlemen.
Racist!
This position means way too much to me. It's just too important. The constant need to get a championship reigns over all in my life. This is my number one priority. So you can sign it over my dead body, preferably.
That
in
can be
blood.
arranged.
What is your response to the accusation that Mike filed you?
This accusation is just completely false. Only the filing that was done came in reverse. Carlos Hyde was a tremendous running back for me.
step of acceptance.
Shut up.
Listen, something came. That's all I know.
Carlos Hyde was a top 10 running back, and if anyone suggests that I was the filed, you better hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your soul.
Thank you for watching the League of Ordinary Gentlemen postseason press conference.
And don't forget to buy some pineapple chunks at your local Wise markets.
Got wood?
Current leading contender for the Sacco, Joey Clark, has requested to be a part of the LOOG press conference. Joey, what do you have to say for yourself?
Honestly, I'm quite impressed with the season the bitches have had this year. We have one more win than last year. And that's about all we've accomplished, but it's not a lot, but it's honest work.
Will the bitches rebrand after this season?
No comment.